Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today we're going to talk about the Maggotkin of Nurgle, and today we're going to look at 7 big winners from the brand new Battletome for the faction in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. What we're going to do is we're going to look at units that definitely got a nice big rise out of their previous status in the Battletome, and just have a little bit of a talk about why those units are so good, or at least are so much better now than they were before. So with that said, this is all subjective. This is my own personal opinions after a first little run through down of the Battletome, but I'd love to hear everyone's opinions on their favourite unit from the new Battletome and their favourite like artifacts and command traits and all your favourite things from the new Battletome. What has gotten you excited for the new Battletome? And with that all said, let's get cracking into my list. And of course, this is Nurgle, so this is going to be 7 big winners from Battletome Maggotkin of Nurgle. Number 1, the humble Plaguebearer hosts. Plaguebearer hosts, I reckon, got a nice big buff in the brand new Battletome. They've got a 5-up save and 2 wounds base now, which is really strong. At 150 points for 2 wounds on a 5-up save that also has a 5-up ward thanks to Disgustingly Resilient, I think they are a really solid sort of screen or tar pit unit you have access to in the Battletome now. They're also -1 to hit with shooting. They did lose a couple of abilities on that, and they gradually have over the course of this edition, but -1 to hit with shooting definitely gives them the protection against it that they need. And then, you know, you've got a good armor save and ward combination behind that, which can really make them just a solid survivable unit for the army. Stats, combat-wise, they're not really going to do an awful lot, but they do have some ways to buff up and get some more attacks, which is pretty nice, but a solid, defensive, great battle line unit I think Plaguebearers are. Number 2, Puscoil Blacklords. Another unit I reckon that saw a nice increase in power this book was the Puscoil Blacklords. For me, their access to one of the sub-factions making them battle line is a solid option in the Drowned Men, but also I like that they've gone to multiple attacks. They lost their exploding hits now, but they do have more attacks than they used to. This means you've got a better chance with these units of getting some diseased weapon rolls and putting some disease points out from them. You've also got a ton of attacks off of the Rotflies beneath them, but their big thing is that they do impact hits when they charge. And this is on a per model basis, which is pretty cool. So you can get a lot of impact hits, do some mortal wounds with that, get some extra attacks on them, and then be doing some disease point spreading with them in combat thanks to the vast amount of attacks they have. A solid, good, fast combat unit, and definitely something Nurgle need now, because a lot of their units aren't that fast, and the loss of the ability to run and charge with those feculent normals, having a fast and solid unit like the Blacklords is more important than ever. Number 3, the big boy himself, the Glocken. The brothers 3 that are Glots got a massive boost in the new edition. Yes, they ranked up right to 700 points, but they got so much more. Their attacks became so consistent, they got more damage on everything with damage 3 all over the place, as well as a amazing little ability with a Monstrous Rampage to potentially do 5 mortal wounds with their Monstrous Rampage is nice. They also self-heal on top of already getting some healing, obviously, from things like the heroic action, so you could potentially heal 2d3 a turn on this model, which is really solid when it's now got 20 wounds, a 4-up save, and a 5-up ward, thanks to Disgustingly Resilient army-wide. This model is really tough. You're looking at a 4-up save and a 5-up ward. That's what's keeping Mega Gargants alive, so Glocken is certainly going to be sticking around on tabletops a lot longer nowadays, thanks to all these bonuses. He also has some cool abilities where he can allow units to charge in your opponent's charge phase that are near him, and some other really cool universal sort of utility abilities as well. A fantastic leader for your Maggotkin of Nurgle force. Number 4, Huticulus Slimex. I love this snail-mounted Plaguebearer Lord. He's always been one of my favourite Nurgle miniatures ever since he came out in Blight War. For me, the big thing that makes him great is the changes to the trees, obviously the feculent null-moles. They've changed slightly in how they work. They give out, you know, 1 contagion point around them or provide some disease counters, and it's these disease counters that I really like. I love how the army can work together to create some really fun abilities and get those disease counters out in some really interesting ways, and his ability to drop an extra tree and the tree's ability to either provide them or provide contagion points is really fun. For me, it's great to see him, and hopefully we'll start seeing this amazing model on the table, because he truly is one of the best Nurgle models around. An absolutely fantastic miniature, and he's got some cool rules to boot now. Number 5, the Rockbringer Sorcerer. I talked before with Horticulus about how he can create some really interesting disease counters with the trees. Well, for me, I really like the Rockbringer Sorcerer because of what they do with endless spells. Now, before we get into that, we should also mention that there's a particular sub-faction where you can take a coven of Rockbringer Sorcerers. I really love this idea of a wizard coven becoming a single unit purchase, but also taking up, becoming individual wizards, but getting extra bonuses while they're near each other. Hello Heart should totally get this same thing, but for me, that's a really cool thing for a sub-faction. I'd like to see more of these sort of combined things. I could think like Eshin Triads and stuff like that could make really interesting units like this. But back to the Rockbringer Sorcerer, I like him because of what he does with endless spells, I said. And that's because he makes endless spells summoned by him count as if they were Nurgle units for the purposes of distributing disease counters to things. So multi-base endless spells, things like the Geminids of Ulgish or the Soul Snare Shackles, or even larger ones like the Suffocating Gravetide or Prismatic Palisade, are really useful endless spells when this model is on the table summoning them. Number 6, the Maggotkin. Now, there is no unit I'm more happy to see get a nice boost than the Maggotkin. They've long been some of the coolest miniatures for the Maggotkin of Nurgle, and they came out just at the end of the end times alongside the Glocken. For me, the best thing about these is 2 of these models have a 3-up base save. That is Morbidex, Twiceborn, and Orgot's Demon Spew. And the reason this is because these are going to be the only characters in the army that can get up to that magical 2-up save. They can have these 2-up saves, and they can have the 5-up ward or potentially a 4-up ward if the wheel is on the right sort of part of the battle, and can be really useful for just having a strong survivable combat hero. For me, I don't think any unit got a bigger buff than these models. They became really useful. Even the wizard model in Blood Rotspawn is really useful. A 4-up base save on a wizard is solid, really solid in fact. And I just love that these models can now take the fight to the enemy and actually be used on the table. I can't wait to see them pick up some fights again. And number 7, the Spoilpox Scrivener. For me, this model was great because he and the Piper were 2 of the coolest Nurgle models available, and I really liked that he kept a ton of his abilities. So the Piper might have lost a few of the things, but this model kept the ability to either give +1 attack, it gave the ability to give +1 save to Plaguebearer host units around him. I think with the benefits that Plaguebearer hosts now got, and the bonuses they've gotten, and how good they've got in the new edition, that the Spoilpox Scrivener is now even better because he can buff them up and make them an even better unit. He's definitely something useful to have in your army now alongside some really solid Plaguebearer hosts, and I think him and a big block of Plaguebearers could be a really great combination for a fantastic tar pit unit within the army. With all that said though, that's my thoughts on 7 great units I like from Battletome Maggotkin of Nurgle. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you like from the Battletome, as I mentioned at the start of the video. Let us know in the comments below what your favourite units are, what your favourite combinations are, down in the comments below. Well, that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And while you're at it, drop us a comment below in the comment section and let us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine little community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by following the link in the video's description to our Discord server. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who supports the channel via Patreon and YouTube members, and you can go help support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members as well and get access to, if you're a YouTube member, some of our awesome little gifts, or get choice of what we're going to do for content on the channel. You can follow those links in the description of the video to Patreon and YouTube members. But a shout out to them all, our Patreons: Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Pure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nilsson, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, and James Cater. And to our YouTube members as well, a special shout out to Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Aronia, Vinny, Lockloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, and Broken Chef. Lastly, I'd like to give a special shout out first of all to Lady Witchvox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel that you see here, and to Xmorphic, who does all the amazing work and the background work for our Discord server. Thank you both very much for all your help. That's it for today though, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.